There's allegedly been a huge milestone when it comes to Zebec. The reason why I even think that way is because Zebec very recently announced how a grand total of 15 billion Zebec is now locked up, which is a new milestone. It's very fantastic, and this actually represents approximately 15% of the maximum supply of Zebec. I'll get all into this in today's video, but I first want to clarify nothing I say is financial advice, and I am not telling anyone to do anything. But first of all, we have to consider, about 5 months ago, the amount of Zebec that was locked up was approximately 10 billion. We fast forward 5 months from then, up until right now, there's 15 billion. So we think about that, in the past 5 months alone, there has been an average increase of around a billion of new Zebec that is locked up basically over the past 5 months. This is really impressive. Again, on a monthly basis for the past 5 months, we've seen pretty much an average of an increase in terms of 1 billion Zebec that's locked up. Kind of ridiculous, right? I know people like to say, but this is not the best ratio out there. 15% of the maximum supply, who cares? But we have to consider what this could mean for Zebec moving forward, because the more Zebec that is locked up, what I think that indicates is that, first of all, more and more people are having this long-term mindset when it comes to Zebec because they're not, why would they lock it up? Not to mention, it showcases the conviction that people still have. And not to mention, it showcases that a lot of people don't think about this in a short-term type of way. People don't usually lock, something up if, let's say, they don't believe in it for the long term. Not to mention, we have to consider as well, this is marking, I think, a good moment when it comes to Zebec, because people like to say Zebec did so bad in 2026, but we have to consider two major milestones in regard to Zebec in this year alone. For instance, the amount of holders just in 2026 have increased by over 10,000 so far. Really impressive. Not to mention, if we take a look at it just in this year alone, the amount of Zebec that is locked up has increased by around 5 billion. So we got to think about this. People like to say, oh wow, the price charts are doing so bad and all this. Although I do agree with that, the price charts haven't been looking the best despite the around 10% recovery in the past 24 hours. But still, even despite that, we have to consider that sometimes the price charts don't really tell the full story of what's going on behind the scenes. Now, did the 10% recovery that we saw in the past 24 hours approximately, was that as a result of this announcement? I think maybe that had something to do with it, because a lot of other altcoins are not doing that good, so I think this might have played a role. However, this is not too kind of impressive in the grand scheme of things. Zebec is still down by quite a lot when compared to last year, but still, this is just really massive in my perspective, and I think this is a clear indicator that people sometimes, sure, they might leave Zebec, but some people out there are entering. You know what I mean? It's just some people are leaving, some people are entering, but it seems like in this year, more people are entering Zebec because the amount of holders is increasing and the amount of Zebec that's locked up has been increasing as well, even though the price charts haven't been looking the best. But what does this mean when it comes to Zebec? Well, first of all, not only is Zebec going to become a little bit more stable because around 15% of the maximum supply is locked up currently, but also on top of that, Zebec does have a deflationary measure in place. We have to consider some of the revenue that's gained from the Zebec products, they are using that to reacquire Zebec, right? So in theory, that creates a deflationary pressure when it comes to Zebec. And overall, it's really fantastic because let's say the Zebec products get more and more attention. Let's say more people use it. What happens if they're acquiring more and more Zebec as a result of that revenue that they gain from those, products? What happens is that slowly but surely, the circulating supply of Zebec could start reducing. It may not have such a big impact right now, but over the long run, this could matter a lot. So we have to consider, Zebec is not like Dogecoin or Solana or something like that that has an infinite maximum supply. It actually has a set maximum supply, right? But at the same time, they are creating this deflationary measure to kind of even mitigate the already existing supply. This is really fantastic. I like what I'm seeing when it comes to this. A lot of other projects out there, they're so focused on the attention, they're so focused on the hype, but they don't really focus on the tokenomics. That's the thing. They're not really focused on making it more rare or creating a deflationary pressure. Some other projects out there could care less about that. But I think that's often crucial because in theory, the less of something that there is, the more rare it becomes. in theory. Because for instance, in just a random make-believe hypothetical scenario, if let's say Zebec were to reach 10 cents, let's say we're to do that, considering the current circulating supply that it has right now, the market cap needed would be approximately 10 billion at that point. Now, if let's say the circulating supply was reduced by 10%, what happens? Now, if that is the case, to reach 10 cents, it's no longer a 10 billion market cap. It becomes a 9 billion market cap because the circulating supply got reduced by 10% in this make-believe scenario. So again, the lower the circulating supply, the better it is, in my opinion. Now, that's all just a pure hypothetical to use as an example, but I'm just saying. All this stuff right here, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And Zebec is just starting to cook, in my opinion. They haven't even released the mobile version of the super app yet. Granted, there's been a delay because they were supposed to launch it in the middle of March, but they haven't launched it up until right now. But they've already done the desktop version when it comes to the super app, so at least I'm looking forward to the mobile version because apparently as of right now it's in the final stages, so they're probably going to be releasing it soon. But I think it's an awesome step in the right direction when it comes to Zebec. Again, launching the desktop version earlier on this year and then launching the mobile version hopefully soon. This is pretty impressive. And people like to say oftentimes that, wow, Zebec, if only 15 billion of its supply as of right now is locked up, why is this so good? We have to consider. Zebec is not a project that has a market cap in the billions. That's not the case. It's not even top 100. So seeing a project like this have these type of figures, it's really impressive for what it is. And keep in mind, Zebec is just starting to cook as well when it comes to the partnerships. We've already seen Algorand in terms of a partner. We've already seen Stellar. We've already seen Ripple. So now a lot of people are kind of thinking about a hypothetical Google partnership because the CEO of Zebec, recently he went to the Google office and he met up with the team and he had a discussion apparently. So that could maybe be another partnership that's in the works. We'll wait and see. But that is just pretty impressive. So again, Zebec's not done after the Ripple partnership. They're still planning for more things moving forward. People like to say, oh, Ripple, it's kind of the pinnacle of what Zebec could do in terms of a partnership. But apparently, that doesn't seem to be the case because if they could have a partnership with Google, it would top the Ripple partnership. I think it really would, just because Google is more massive and of course, it's just way bigger, right? Ripple is really massive for this space in the context of it, but it's not like so global like that, right? It's like, for instance, if I asked my neighbors, what is Ripple? They wouldn't really know what that is, but they would know what Google is, So Zebec, they're already kind of locking things down when it comes to the global trade and finance space, so to speak, when it comes to this space, because the pinnacle when it comes to this space in terms of global trade and finance is Ripple, right? The number 2 is Stellar. And Zebec's already done that. They've already managed to have a partnership when it comes to Ripple and Stellar. They already got that. Now, what's the next stage? The next stage is partnering up with enterprises in other markets. And that's where, let's say something in the case of ADP, one of the biggest companies out there that's focused on payrolls, Zebec's been eyeing a partnership when it comes to that, allegedly. Also, not to mention when it comes to the case of Google. So again, the Zebec is planning for a lot of things. The Ripple and Stellar side quest, the mission, it's complete. They already did that. Now they're on to bigger and better things. Nothing wrong with it though. Nothing wrong with the Stellar and Ripple partnership, but it kind of showcases the standards that Zebec has in terms of what they're trying to achieve, because usually a lot of other projects out there, they have a partnership with Stellar and Ripple, that's it. That's game over for them. They don't want to do any more. But when it comes to Zebec, they're not stopping, so I do like that. Now, granted, as of right now, market cap is around 265 million, so it's still like around 2 times lower than where it once was last year at its peak. And I can't even control anything when it comes to this market, so I'm just going to wait. But one thing I do know, though, is that when it comes to Zebec, seeing how approximately 15% of the maximum supply being locked up right now, it's a big thumbs up for me, and the planned partnerships that they have moving forward, allegedly, also seems pretty impressive to me, and I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. So thank you so much for watching.